Imagine closing your eyes for the last time. Your heartbeat slows. Your breath fades. The world slips away. Most people imagine this is the end, the final chapter. But what if it isn't? What if the thing you call you, your awareness, your inner world, doesn't vanish? What if consciousness never truly dies? To explore this idea, we have to go deeper than biology, deeper than the brain, deeper than the universe itself. Because consciousness isn't just a scientific question, it's the question, the mystery behind every other mystery, the observer behind every observation. So what if that observer can never be destroyed? What would that mean for life, death, and everything in between? For centuries, consciousness was assumed to be a byproduct of the brain, nothing more than electrical signals firing between neurons. But as science progressed, the simple explanations began to crumble. You see, the brain is made of matter, atoms, particles, forces, all following the laws of physics. But consciousness, it feels like something else entirely. It's not just neurons, it's experience. The color red, the taste of food, the feeling of being. This is what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. How can lifeless matter generate something as vivid, personal, and mysterious as awareness? No one has an answer, but some theories suggest something radical. Maybe consciousness isn't created by the brain. Maybe consciousness is fundamental, as basic to the universe as space and time. If that's true, then consciousness may not begin with birth, and it may not end with death. Let's explore one of the most surprising clues: near-death experiences across cultures, across religions, across time. Millions of people have reported the same thing, a moment when the body shuts down and awareness seems to expand. They describe floating above their own physical form, watching doctors operate, hearing voices from across the room, feeling disconnected from pain, fear, and time. These experiences are so consistent that some scientists began to wonder, is consciousness tied to the brain or merely linked to it? The way a signal is linked to a radio. Because if the radio breaks, the broadcast isn't gone. It continues, just no longer through that device. What if the brain is simply an interface, a tool, a receiver, a lens that shapes consciousness into a human experience? If so, then the end of the brain may not be the end of awareness. It may simply be the end of this perspective. Another strange clue comes from quantum physics. At the smallest scales of reality, particles don't behave like tiny balls of matter. They exist in clouds of possibility, not here, not there, but everywhere at once. Yet the moment they are observed, they collapse into a definite state. Observation changes reality, not the brain, not the eyes, but consciousness itself. This has led some physicists to propose that consciousness isn't an outcome of the universe. Consciousness is part of its foundation, the fabric, the baseline. If that's true, then consciousness doesn't belong to you. You belong to it. Your experiences are just one local expression of something much larger and older than life on Earth, and something that fundamental cannot be destroyed, only transformed. But what about identity? What about you, your memories, your personality, your story? Do those survive? Maybe not in the way we imagine. Maybe the ego dissolves, but awareness continues, like a wave returning to the ocean. A wave isn't separate from the sea. It's a temporary shape, beautiful, distinct, and then gone, but not gone. The water remains, the ocean remains. Only the form has changed. Maybe your consciousness is like that, a temporary pattern within something infinite. When the body dies, the pattern fades, but the awareness behind it flows back into the greater whole. Not an ending, a return. And here's the strangest idea of all. What if consciousness is not in the brain, but the brain is inside consciousness? Some philosophers, like Bernardo Kastrup and Donald Hoffman, argue that reality itself is shaped by consciousness. Not metaphorically, literally. According to this view, the physical world is not the real world. It's the interface, the dashboard, a simplified representation we evolved to survive within. Just like your phone screen doesn't show you electrical signals, the universe doesn't show you its true structure. It shows you a version you can understand. But consciousness, that's the real player, the thing beneath the interface, the one part of existence we experience directly. And if consciousness is the root layer of reality, then it cannot die because it never began. It simply is. Now, let's zoom out further. Far beyond life, far beyond Earth, far beyond time itself. The universe is expanding, cooling, evolving toward an inevitable darkness. Stars fade, galaxies drift apart, atoms decay. One day, there may be nothing left but cold, empty space. Yet, if consciousness is fundamental, if awareness is the ground of reality, then it may outlive the universe itself. What would that mean? What would a universe without matter but filled with consciousness look like? A void that can think, an emptiness that can remember, a cosmic field of pure awareness. Or perhaps consciousness would create again another universe, another cycle, another chance. Like a dreamer awakening from one dream only to enter another. But maybe the most important question isn't what happens after death. Maybe it's what this possibility means for life. If consciousness doesn't end, if awareness continues beyond the body, then life is not a countdown. It's not a window that closes. It's a chapter. One moment in a much larger story. This doesn't reduce the value of life. It increases it, because every moment becomes a unique expression of something eternal. Your experiences matter, not because they last forever, but because they are irreplaceable. You get exactly one chance to live this particular life, with these memories, these relationships, this path. Consciousness may continue, but this version of you won't come again, and that makes it precious. So what if consciousness never dies? It means death is not a wall, but a doorway. Not an ending, but a transition. It means awareness is deeper, older, and more mysterious than biology. It means that what we call life is just one expression of something vast and timeless. It means you may not be a being who has consciousness, but consciousness itself, momentarily experiencing being human. The truth is, we don't know what happens after death. Science is still searching. Philosophy is still wondering. Humanity is still afraid and hopeful. But if consciousness truly never dies, then you have always existed in some form, and you always will. Not as this body, not as this personality, but as awareness, as presence, as the one thing that cannot be destroyed. You are the light behind every lifetime. Maybe you are the witness behind every universe. Maybe you are the silence that remains